Welcome back to Beyond the Helmet. I'm Steve McGrath, and today, man, I am so pleased because I get to chop it up with someone that was one of my introductions to college football. It's none other than Florida great Chris Rainey, man. When I was a Gator fan coming into it, I mean, you were one of the guys that sort of got me hooked into being a Gator fan for life. So thanks for taking the time, man. How you doing today?
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man. I'm just in training camp, getting ready for another season. Just thankful to be playing another season and being on the team and not on the couch.
Well, it's crazy, right? Because those Florida days, I mean, that's now over a decade ago, and you're still doing it. So, I mean, for anyone that
That
hasn't
mean
been
I'm
paying
old
attention,
then.
you're not old yet because we're about the same age. But for those that weren't paying attention, if I have this right, you're about one kick return away from being number 2 all time in CFL history for return yardage.
It's that simple. Okay. Oh, it's that close. Like, cause I know they said I got 3 categories that I could be all time number one. Cause I'm right there. So I can't talk about it. I can't think about it. It just come. If it happened, it happened. I just want to win a championship. And plus, I'm gonna just do my job anyway, like I always do.
Well, if nothing else, right, if we can count what happened, then in 2019, you crossed over the 10,000 return yard barrier. So congratulations for hitting that
Oh,
milestone.
appreciate you. It happened fast, but appreciate you.
Man, it happened fast, but you're a fast guy. Your entire life has been fast. I mean, that's the one thing that everyone knew that you brought to the table. So obviously you're still doing it. Man, if you can just talk about, let's just call it 15 years. It's been at least 15 years that you've had to keep yourself in tip-top shape, making sure that your speed is your number one attribute, man. I'm sure we could talk about it for hours, but just on a high level, how have you tried to just stay in the best physical shape and maintain that speed as you've gotten older?
Well, college is the best training I ever had, so I still train like I'm in college. The same as that stuff we trained when we was at Florida. That's how I train still to this day. Cause you train every muscle in your body, every bone in your body, like everything you need for football. And that's how I've been training. So, and I train by myself. I don't need no help. I know everything. And I do track too. So the stretching and all that. That's how I've been training. Cause I noticed when you become a pro, first of all, you're on your own. And there's a lot of people don't know how to train right. Or they get lazy, or they don't lift at all, or don't lift no more. And that's why you see all these pro athletes get hurt. And all you got to do is take care of your body. That's all it is.
So do you attribute, what Coach Meyer and the Florida staff had in place for you to teach you how to do this stuff? Or were you taking it from other players, from high school coaches?
No, taking the stuff from high school and taking the stuff from college. So, yep. And I just put it all together and do it in my own way and own workout and all that stuff.
All right. Now, and for those that also didn't know, All-American in track and field. So obviously not just a football player. I mean, you were going year round. You said that you just got out to Canada. You're just getting ready to jump into everything preseason related to the team. For those that don't know, what does the preseason look like for the CFL? What are you doing right now to get yourself ready for getting back into it after a year off?
Well, lucky we got new coach working our way back and our bodies back into it because it's been a while and all that stuff. We're in training camp because they took the year, they canceled it last year. They almost did this year, but they finally approved. But no preseason games, so everything's on the fly. So if it's hard for you to learn the place, or you're gonna be gone quick because they preseason game. You know how all coaches they need that preseason to see what players about, especially when the bullets are flying, all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's it, I guess.
Now, and you're with the BC Lions, yes?
Yep.
So, I mean, just like any team for any sport, how hard is it for you to bounce from team to team, get used to the new faces, the new coaching staff? Because it's not just faces. You got to move. And I mean, I don't know how well you know Canada. You probably know it pretty well by now. But I mean, that's a new city that you're moving into. I mean, what's the adjustment been like for you to have these different stops along the way and have to move and still be a professional?
Well, your goal is not to be your goal is to be on one team your whole career, but that is impossible because every coach different, every GM different, every owner different, just like every city different. But you just gotta put your mind to it. You have to be smart. You have to swallow your pride. You have to ignore stuff. Don't pay attention to everything because, just like I said, people marry, people have girlfriends, people single, this and that with different cities. It's worse than others. It can be dangerous. It can be a distraction. It's so much stuff. Just like they said, be a pro. Can you be a pro? That's the hardest thing for players. Can you be a pro? And that's up to you after they say that.
It seems pretty easy for you to say that right now, given all the years you've been doing this. But, you know, when you think back to it, how hard was it for you to learn that along the way? You know, is there anything that you wish you knew as that 21-year-old kid that you know now?
Oh no, I'm just a fortunate. I'm blessed to be coach and be in a system since Pop Warner, and we trained. I already knew all this stuff growing up. So, like, if you ain't been part of that or learned and stuff like that, or you learned at the last minute, it'll be difficult. But if you just like you said, Florida, all it teach you is about life after football and being a pro. That's all SEC actually. High school, same way. Trying to be a man, all that. So to have all of that growing up.
Now, I got to ask though, because right now in the NFL, I don't know if you've heard, but this guy, Urban Meyer, now coaching in the NFL. This guy, maybe you've heard of Tim Tebow. He's back in the NFL. I'm sure you're happy doing what you're doing, but was any part of you like, hey, do they need a kick returner in Jacksonville? I mean, they're getting the band back together. I mean,
taught Urban Meyer I taught Urban Meyer all the time, but hey, you can't force nothing. You can't get jealous. You can't get mad. If anything happened, they know how to find you. That's the NFL. They know how to find you if they need you.
So honestly, though, what do you think about him making the jump to the NFL? And what do you think about Tim, you know, not playing professional football for a while, coming back, different position? I mean
every player that played with Tebow, they'll say the same thing. No comment.
But for Urban, to see him make the jump to the NFL, how do you feel about his chances of doing well?
All I can say, finally, dang, because he's a great coach. And then, because see, NFL, because you know it's all grown-ups and they think different. And when a college coach come from college and going straight to the pros, it's like a red flag to NFL players and all that stuff. But if you recognize and you respect it all over, it doesn't matter. Hey, they gonna respect you no matter what. That's the difference between Urban Meyer and what's his name? That coach that the Ruggers.
Oh, Schiano, Greg Schiano.
Yeah, that's the big difference. That's a big difference because nobody in the pros liked him. I heard a lot of stories too.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys. I mean, Nick Saban did horrible for a year and then left.
But the thing about the Ruggers coach, he brought in all his players though. Hey, hey, I know everybody respect that. Hey, I wish, hey, but well, you can't do that. Everybody different.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing lately, because man, you don't put a whole bunch on social media, but I did see over the last month or so, it's posted about your kids. It's posted about you grinding to trying to do what's right. So, the football stuff aside, just as you've gotten older and become a man, what's it been like for you trying to be this professional athlete playing in a different country? I know Canada's not that far from wherever you call home, but what's it been like for you to try to be that father figure, have kids, and then not necessarily being able to see them for a good part of the year?
Hard and not hard, because I know all my time in Canada, they was always with me. But this to be the first year that they ain't gonna be with me because they started school and all that stuff. That the age they go to school and everything else, and that gonna be a different challenge for me. But yeah, me, cause my parents was in prison. Me growing up and all that stuff. I was born in prison. But all the stuff that my son do with me by himself or whatever, and you start thinking like, dang, I didn't have that and all that kind of stuff, and it's a bit different. So you want to change all that and everything else. So I just, I had to grow up fast, and I ain't the only child, but I was by myself because I was with my grandma, my brother, one of my brothers and sisters with their grandma. My two oldest, one playing football, one was in prison. My youngest, he's what, 13, 14 now. So he wasn't in the picture at the time, but because I grew up with my grandma, and it's different because sometimes I think, what if I had kids if I was in high school? What if I had kids when I was in high school? Because most of my homies had kids in high school, because all they kids in high school or they graduate high school. So it probably would have been a big difference. My mind probably would have been somewhere else if I had kids, but hey, you can't think of it, you just think right now as it is. And I just know I'm gonna be the best father ever possible, because I know I ain't have it. I know what it takes to have it. So
So I didn't want to interrupt you, but you said that you were born in a prison?
yes.
That is wild. It's very
Oh,
easy to
it's
find.
still wild to me too, because you don't hear that ever.
No, you
You'll hear
don't.
somebody probably born at the hospital, probably about 98% of the time, or born at home or anything like that. Born in the car, but in prison, I ain't heard that one yet.
Me neither. Because it's very easy to find that how you live with the Pouncey brothers in high school. So like the football, you could see how the football stars kind of align for you, but to know that, and that's how your life started, and how, man, I can only imagine what it was like just
Yeah,
trying
if it
to.
weren't for my grandma, I don't know where the hell I'd be at. Luckily, she came and got me. Probably 3 days later, because at that time I heard my mom and my grandma, they was going at it at that time. So she almost didn't come get me. Lucky she did. And she the one put me in football too at age 6, because she was tired of sitting on the porch and watching me play football by myself in the streets. So she signed me up.
Man, I wanted to ask you about the adversity that you had just trying to make it with the Steelers and how that ended. But if that's how your life starts, and that's the road that you have from the jump, and it's the only thing you've known, I mean, how could you really be a pro if you've never? It seems like you kind of had to wing it your whole life. I mean, by the time you are trying to make it in the NFL, I mean, I have to imagine that, like, your 22-year-old kid who now has all this potential power and money for the first time. I mean, how do you navigate that? How do you
Oh
even try to do a good
well,
job?
my grandma, she did a pretty good job, even though she was an alcoholic, smoked cigarettes 24/7, all that stuff. It took a while because I had to go to special ed classes and all that stuff because my speech wasn't really good. Um, but what really forced me to do good has been, you know how all the comedians always pick about, oh, I was in special ed, ESC, I was in that. And when you in one class all day, you can't go to PE, can't do this, do that, all this. Man, it's so aggravating. It is aggravating. You can't hang with your friends. You can't talk to your friends because you in one class. Everybody else rotate classes. They look in window, mess with you in the door, all that stuff. That's when I just said, you know what, I'm finna take this serious, get the hell up out of here, be a normal kid, this and that, all that, and the rest is history.
So when did you realize that you were faster than everyone? Because I have to imagine part of you
elementary.
I have to imagine that you at some point had to realize like, hey man, this might be my ticket out of here. This might be my ticket to get everything I want in life.
No, I wasn't thinking of that. I just love playing football. Because elementary we used to play soccer at PE. When I started adding more classes, getting out there one class, and I just kicked the ball as far as possible, run, and I was leaving everybody. And then I say probably about 8th grade, they had a 40-yard test, and that was my first 4.3. And yeah, and then I end up, and then the head coach from high school came and talked to all the 8th graders because I think they go around different schools and try to see if they're gonna go to Lakeland and stuff like that. And I went straight to varsity because I know a lot of my family members played football and went to Lakeland. So
if I have this right, you are related. He might even be your brother, Rod Smart, aka.
Yeah, that's my brother. That's my oldest brother. That's who I looked up to growing up.
So I was going to ask, obviously he gets a chance to play professionally. I mean, to this day, I'd say he's probably the best known XFL player. Everyone knows he hate me. I mean, hey, do you know the story behind that nickname? But be more seriously, what was it like actually having a role model, someone that you could look up to? How much easier did it make it for you to kind of understand how to be good at being a football player?
No, he made it easy because he went to Lakeland, had all records. My goal was to beat all his records or at least tie. Because in high school, I tied his 40-yard dash. Running back, I killed him. He first one to graduate college, so I had to do that too. Luckily, track kept me from going to the pros early. The win, 1, and 2, to make history too, because it's hard to have an athlete to win championship in 2 different sports at a college, especially like that. So.
Now, what was it about? I don't want to give all the credit to Coach Meyer, but his staff in recruiting guys like yourself. I mean, he came to Florida and just immediately set up Florida to be the powerhouse of the SEC in college football. I mean, how did he literally just find the best guys? And maybe some of them had some character flaws that we wouldn't realize.
Some players gonna have that. He wasn't scared. He took the risk to go. Because first of all, you have to go to a state that got a lot of fast players and a lot of athletic players. You can't be scared to do that. Nowadays, you'll probably see 1 or 2 out of a certain area or a state and all that. That's the difference nowadays. That's why you don't see speed no more like it used to be. Because people being skeptical, afraid or scared that they might mess up the program or something like that. No, you want to win, you better go get them players.
I did want to just ask you a little bit more about times in your career where, whether it's the Steelers, and you go through this transition of, I'm sure, wanting to stay in the NFL, but not really knowing where that next phone call is going to be. When you look at your CFL career, right, there's times where, the team doesn't sign you back. I mean, there's just points that could make you question, hey, am I good enough? Hey, am I going to persevere through this to get my next shot? Do you have any advice on how to deal with when things don't go your way?
Well, first of all, I'm close to God, so I've been praying since first grade. Sometimes you gotta follow God plan. Sometimes you gotta have your plan set. But stuff can happen out the blue. Stuff that can happen and you knew why it happened. But other than that, it just sometimes is out of your control. Because when it's up to other people, you can't do nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it.
For sure. You can only control what you can control.
Yep.
Now, I got to ask, though, with all the speed that you've had, you certainly were a very good running back throughout your college career. At what point do you accept the fact that these professional teams basically only want you to be a return guy, and seemingly you never really get a chance to be the running back that I'm sure you would have really. How do you deal with that too?
That basically called me small. I've been getting called small all my life. I still get called small. Or he too small. I don't think he can last these many hits and this and that and all the other stuff. It's just excuses after excuses. All you gotta do is put in the word, run all the returns back and this and that. Then they'll start thinking like, okay, we need to put him on offense. That's all it is. Shut him up. That's all you can do. And just say and make them say, okay, we have to.
Control what you can control, right? I mean, every rep,
yes.
Every chance you're out there, you got to make your second guessing.
Yes. My goal is if I know I ain't going to play offense and they put me a couple plays in there, my goal is to score a touchdown. And I don't got no choice. I have to score a touchdown.
Fair enough. Well, man, I want to wrap it up with you with this little thing called the gauntlet. I just got a couple quick questions that I want your answer to, starting with what's most important? Is it having the number one offense or the number one defense?
Oh, no. You got to have defense. Because it gonna come in handy down the road. It gonna come in handy down the road. You need that.
Now, obviously, you're still playing. You've had a long career through college and high school. But when you think about it, is there one or two favorite football memories? Anything that really stands out for you?
No, it's too many. It's too many.
Fair enough. Now, pre-game ritual. Is there anything that you're still doing today that you've always had to do the whole time?
I'm superstitious. I do the same exact thing. And if I take a shower, if I shower in the second shower, I got for the whole season. Way I put lotion on. When I bathe the same exact way. Every part in the same exact. I'm talking about it is. I'm trying to everything I do. It has to be the same exact. All since elementary.
Any particular songs that you're listening to?
Oh, I listen old school, Earth, Wind, and Fire, One Way, Gap Band, Tony, Grandmaster Flash, all that kind of stuff. That's all. I grew up to that. So, and no cussing, and it's just music that makes you happy, and love everyone. That's why every team or everybody I'm around, I bring energy. They love me. The smile. That's what that music do to you.
I love it. Now, what's most important? Is it the players or is it the scheme?
Oh, it depends.
Okay. Believe me, I think that's the hardest question that everyone pauses on every time I ask. People are very split on it.
It's 50-50 for.
All right. Now, you've played for a lot of different coaches in your career. When you think at all the coaches, if you could put your finger on one thing, what do the best coaches do? What do the best teams have that make them great? When you kind of think back on it all, what makes a team or particularly a coach special?
Character.
Kind of
Character.
trusting them, you can believe them.
Yep. Character, trust, respect. Yeah. Yep. And you have to be a coach that you can control them players too. And if you can control them with respect and all that, they worry about nothing. Just like Urban Meyer. Even though stuff happens, but everybody respected him though.
Got it. Well, man, I got one last one for you. And it's given everything we've talked about, if there's one best piece of advice, if you could think to, if you were talking directly to some 16, 17-year-old kid that says, hey, man, how do I get there? How do I do what you do? What would you say to them about how to make it?
Hard work, focus, and have mad confidence. When I say mad confidence, it don't, you don't have to talk trash, but if you is a trash talker, you better back every word. But just have mad confidence in yourself and believe in yourself, and don't worry about the world. Worry about the damn self. They too much worrying about everything else around them or what people say, this and that. I don't care what people say. Somebody in front of me, they getting killed. I'm just telling you that. That's just me. I'm still anything. Because basically you're doing an interview every time you're doing anything.
And so would a second piece of that be, if things don't go your way, right? You do get benched, you do get cut from the team. You just stick
definitely.
with it. That's when you got to double down and work even harder.
Because if you do all that kind of stuff, remember, people know each other out there in this world. Because if you do something, they might tell that person this and that, and you probably won't have another job ever. So that's with football too. If you're a bad person, this man, but they talk.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time tonight, man. Just as we wrap it up, where can people follow you on social media?
You said where?
Yeah. What are your handles on and what platforms?
I got Instagram, Facebook. Facebook, normal Chris Rainey. Instagram, Rainey 26. So now my first number coming in CFL. That's why I got 26 next to it.
Chris, thank you so much for taking the time, man. Let me be the first to preemptively congratulate you on what you will accomplish this upcoming season, because I'm sure.
Hey, appreciate you.
I'm sure that the record books are going to be rewritten one way or another. And man, best of luck. I again can't wait to see what the future holds.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.